down in the ocean, where even the faintest light couldn't reach, there was a magical underwater kingdom. The Sea King ruled this vast realm peacefully, along with his mother and 6 beautiful daughters. He loved his daughters very much, but his biggest fear was that one day they might be harmed by humans living above the sea. That's why it was strictly forbidden for any of them to swim to the surface until they were old enough and had earned their crowns. Among his daughters, the youngest was the most curious and kind-hearted. The Little Mermaid, she often wondered about the world above, especially about humans. Her sisters told her stories about the land, but that wasn't enough for her. Her grandmother always warned her about humans, saying they pollute the seas and harm sea creatures. Still, the Little Mermaid longed to see the world beyond. One day, she made a plan to visit the surface before she was allowed. She took her friend, the dolphin, and went to see her giant friend, Himram the whale. At first, Himram refused to help because he was afraid of the Sea King. But seeing how determined and sad the Little Mermaid was, he agreed. The whale carried her secretly to the sea gate. Once the guards opened the gate for Himram, he released the Little Mermaid outside. For the first time, the Little Mermaid rose above the sea. She felt the cool breeze, saw the blue sky, and was amazed by the sunlight. Then she heard music coming from a distance. It was a ship. On that ship, a prince was celebrating his birthday with his guests. The Little Mermaid was fascinated and swam closer, even though her dolphin friend warned her not to. The prince was handsome and kind. He played a flute, and the Little Mermaid softly sang along with her beautiful voice. The prince heard her and looked around, but before he could see her, she disappeared beneath the waves. Suddenly, a terrible storm struck. The Witch of the Seas, who was watching everything through her crystal ball, cast a dark curse. The ship broke apart in the raging waves. The Little Mermaid saw the prince fall into the sea. Without hesitation, she swam to save him, pulling him through the wreckage and bringing him safely to shore. When he opened his eyes, she smiled, but as she heard people and dogs approaching, she quickly dove back into the ocean, leaving him behind. The prince faintly remembered her voice and thought, "That voice, I've heard it before." The Little Mermaid returned to her kingdom with the prince's flute in her hand. The Sea King saw it and realized it was made by humans. Angry and disappointed, he scolded her. "Humans bring only evil," he thundered. But the Little Mermaid couldn't forget the prince. She decided to seek help from Naga, the sea witch. Naga agreed to help but demanded a high price, her beautiful voice. In exchange, she would make the Little Mermaid human. "You'll have legs instead of a tail," said the witch. "But remember, if the prince does not fall in love with you by the 3rd day, you will return to being a mermaid and forget him forever." The Little Mermaid agreed and drank the potion. Painfully, her tail turned into legs. With her dolphin friend's help, she reached the shore. The prince found her there, a beautiful, silent girl who reminded him of someone. She couldn't speak, but she gave him his flute. When he played it, she nodded, and he realized she was connected to the mysterious girl who had saved him. However, because she had no voice, he doubted himself. The prince took her to his castle and cared for her. Meanwhile, the king planned for the prince to marry a neighboring princess. The Little Mermaid could only watch in sadness. She remembered the witch's warning that time was running out. On the morning of the 4th day, the wedding was about to begin. Heartbroken, the Little Mermaid cried by the shore. Suddenly, her sisters, grandmother, and father appeared. The Sea King, realizing his daughter's true love, forgave her. He used his magic wand to return her voice from the seashell where it had been kept. "My voice. Thank you, father. Thank you, grandmother." She cried joyfully. With the whale Himram's help, she hurried to the ship where the prince's wedding was taking place. As the prince was about to say his vows, he heard that same enchanting voice again. He turned and saw the Little Mermaid arriving on the whale's back. Realizing she was the one who had saved him, he ran to her and jumped into the sea. "I knew it was you," he said. At last, the Little Mermaid and the prince were reunited. Her love and courage had broken all barriers. She remained human forever, and together they lived happily ever after, spreading love, peace, and friendship between the land and the sea.